So very good afternoon, everybody at the various centers. So I welcome Dr. Rakesh Kumar from Computer Science Department of our institute. He has interacted with you on very first day on emerging areas of research in computer science. We have a little change in our schedule. Latex, which was to be discussed today, that is shifted to tomorrow afternoon session. And now Dr. Rakesh will interact with you on introduction to R. So as you know, R is a language and environment for statistical computing and graphics. It provides variety of statistical and graphical techniques. So we will first session we will just introduce with this R, and we will continue with this R on tomorrow also. The first session will be again on basic components of R, and that will be followed by graphical analysis. So I request Dr. Rakesh to interact with you on this software.
Good afternoon, participants present at NIRRR Chandigarh and at various remote centers. So initially, we will discuss about the R programming, how R has been evolved, and what are the features that are available in this programming through which we can do our data analysis. This R programming is quite helpful nowadays as well as in the near future. We will discuss how R can be installed, what are the various features, what are the various functions and packages available in this. And later on, at the end, we will discuss somewhat about the data mining, how data mining is done and why data mining is required and how it is done in R programming with the help of. And tomorrow we will discuss what are the various data structures and functions available in R that we can program here. So these are the contents that we are going to cover in this session. Ki history of R, introduction to R programming, why it is required to learn the R programming. As we all know that we have lots of other languages like MATLAB is available with us. We have Python also nowadays. People are working. SPSS is also, I think SPSS has also been covered in this STC. And there are some other tools also, those are available. So we will install the R, and then what is the integrated development environment for R programming. Some packages are also there. If I want to run some functions, then some packages needs to be installed in R programming. As we all know, in C programming, suppose I want to use the printf function or scan function, so corresponding to that, a header file should be included. So the task of header file is taken by the packages in R. So what R basically does, and what are the things that cannot be done in R, then features and basic concepts of R, advantages and disadvantages in application, and what are the futures of R programming. This we will cover here. So this R basically evolved in 1970. At first time it was coined in Bell Labs, AT&T Bell Laboratories, and R basically evolved from the S language. Although R comes before the S in alphabetical order, but in practice this S language came before the R. In 1990s, R developed concurrently with the S, and in 1993 it was made public. But the stable version during this period, 1970s to 1993 and till 2014, or you can say 15, no stable version was released by the proprietary these vendors. So stable version released on October 31st, 2004 by the R development core team under the GNU GPL license. The GNU, that is the GNU not for Unix, and GPL is the general public license. So R is a programming language and software environment for statistical analysis, graphics representation, and reporting. These are the things that we can do with the help of R programming. We can statistically analyze our data. We have the data sets at our hand. We can insert the data into this R programming environment, IDE environment. Then we can analyze it on different parameters. We can have the graphical representation in the form of either pie chart or some other forms of visual representation is also possible. We can also generate the reports. R was created by Ross and Roberts gentlemen at the University of Auckland, New Zealand. As I said, in 2014 it was the final version, that was stable version was released. R is a freely available under the GNU General Public License, and pre-compiled binary versions are provided for various operating systems like Unix, or nowadays we are all not using the Unix, rather we are using the Linux, Windows and Mac. So three separate files are available for R. One is for Linux, Windows and Mac. So we can just download this file and straight away install on our either Windows operating system or Linux or Mac operating system. R is basically a software distributed under the GNU style copyleft and an official part of the GNU project called the GNUs. So as this R is open source, so we can have the code of this R and we can do some changes in the code and write our own programs at the developer level also. The core of R is an interpreted computer language which allows branching and looping as well as modular programming using the functions. So here branch and loops control structures are also possible, and modular programming is also possible with the help of functions. R allows the integration with the procedures written in the C, C++, .NET, Python or Fortran language for efficiency. So it means if we have some written procedures in the C or C++ or any other language, those mentioned here, we can straight away utilize those procedures and integrate them into the R. So that the knowledge that has already been put by some of the users, it can be further added on rather than doing the work from the scratch. So this slide shows why we should learn the R. As I mentioned earlier during this session, we have some other tools also like MATLAB, SPSS, and why should we go for R? Because first major reason is the R is the open source language. If you go for MATLAB, we need the license for it, and in most of these places the license is not available, so we cannot do the research from our home, because most of us, those who are doing the research and using these tools for data analysis, sometimes we are at office or sometimes we are working at the home, so we need a common tool through which we can work. So cross-platform compatibility is also supported here in R. As I said, if we have the procedures written in C, C++, Python, .NET, so those procedures can be integrated into the R. So cross-platform compatibility is there. Advanced statistical language, a lot of functions, those are integrated into the R programming here. So we can straight away use these functions and generate the results. We are not required to write the complete functions for some task. Like suppose if I want to calculate the addition of two numbers, so the operator addition has already been programmed into the background of R, so we can generate the results. This is the simplest one, that is addition, but there are some other tools, so like we can compute the length of a vector. So for that we have some inbuilt functions, those are written here. So graphs generated or reports generated by this R is very good and user friendly. Users are able to understand it very easily. So nowadays most of the researchers or the technical people, those are working in the industry, they are using this tool, and the graphs generated through this are very good, and they can straight away demonstrate these graphs to their higher authority or their managerial team. And this R also relates to the other programming languages, as I said, so this is also good, or it is the one advantages of R. Vast community is using this R, so a lot of blogs and supports are available on the internet. So if I want to do something, we can just take the help from this community. And supports the extension also, extremely comprehensive. A lot of functions are integrated in this R, and a major advantage of R is that as soon as I install this R, the minimum required functions are automatically installed, and after that whichever function I want to install, I need to install it explicitly, so it will take very less space on the hard disk, although there are a lot of functions available in the R that we can use it. But automatically it will install the minimum one. So this slide shows the comparison of R with some of the key competitors like Python and Java. So R was stably released in 2014, and as mentioned here, and Python and Java are comparatively the older one. So Python was released in 1996 and Java was in 1995. So as soon as the languages, uh, the new language is evolved, or uh, it is just the extended version of the previous one, more and more functions are integrated into the programming environment. So some of the functions, those are not directly available in the Python or Java, they can straight away available in R programming here. So it has more functions and packages, as I said, as compared to the Python and Java. It is an interpreter based language. Python is also an interpreter based language, but Java is interpreter and compiler based language. We need the compiler here. So it is statistical design and graphic programming language. Here we can generate the graphs and we can generate the reports for this. It is a general purpose language. Python is general purpose language. Here reporting or graphical features are not dedicatedly available. You can write our code to generate the graph, but no straight away tool is available there. Likewise, it is difficult to learn and understand. It is slightly difficult, not somewhat difficult. It is difficult to learn the R programming, but as it is a new one, so we need to put some effort to learn this programming language compared to the Python and Java, because we are using this Java and Python for the last more than 20 years. So it is comparatively difficult. R is mostly used for data analysis, whereas Python and Java are multi-purpose language or general purpose languages. They are used for some other purpose also. Even some tools or softwares are written in Java, whereas R is dedicatedly used for the data analysis. This Kaggle is one of the community. It is widely using this R, and it has most of the participants here. You can see here we go for big data to big data analytics using this R. So people are using nowadays. You can see in this slide the blue portion shows the people who are using the R tool as compared to the other one. Like we can see here, MATLAB, very few people are using. In SAS, Veka, SPSS, Python, Excel, Mathematica, Stata, and some other tools are also available. Those are being used by the people for this data analysis. These are the data scientists for these companies. They use this, and because we have mentioned a lot of advantages are there for using the R, as it is mentioned here. Google people, they say, what is your programming language of choice, R, Python, or something else? This is the feedback from these Apple and Google. You can see here, I use R and occasionally MATLAB for data analysis. There is a large, active, and extremely knowledgeable R community at Google. And with respect to Apple, we can say expert knowledge of SAS with enterprise guide minor required, and candidates with strong knowledge of R will be preferred in Apple. So this shows that this R is quite popular nowadays, and people have started using it. Commercial support for R is also available. We have a Revolution Analytics provide a commercial support for the Revolution of R. This is the link that is given here. And Big Data Appliance, which integrates R, Apache Hadoop, Oracle Enterprise, Linux, and a NoSQL database with the Exadata hardware. So this integration is also possible of R with this Apache Hadoop, Oracle Enterprise, and the link shows this slide shows the Revolution for R. And we can see here the base version, it is R 2.14.264, and Revolution R 1 crore and Revolution R 4 crore. We can see the speed up. So 7 point metrics calculation, it's very fast. It is 7.9 times faster here. Metrics functions, we have 7.8 times faster speed up there. Program control is also very good in this, and moreover it is free also. So now moving on to the installation of R, how we can install it. We just first see the steps of installation, then we will install it on this machine, and you can also see it. So you can directly install the R using the www.rproject.org. And if you want to install the R Studio, that is just a third-party software that provides a graphical user interface for this. That is the R Studio. But you will see now the R only, R tool, that comes under the CRAN project, CRAN project. So when you start downloading this, it will show you the multiple servers through which you can download. So the server which is most nearer to you, it is recommended to download from there. You can download it. Then, as I mentioned in the start, we have 3 different binary files for Linux, Mac, and Windows. You can download the appropriate one, and then you can run the setup function. It will show you the GNU General Public License, as I mentioned. You can press the next. Then you can mention the place where you want to install this. The setup will install the R for Windows in the appropriate folder, which you will mention here. Then it will ask for to startup option. You can choose the default one. Then it will show you for the menu folder. You can choose the default one. Here also you can choose the default one key if you want to create the desktop icon and associated files. So it will then install the R on your machine. So we will try to install this R. So we can download it from here. Download the R. I think this particular link is down at this moment, so we'll try to install it later. There is some problem with this link at this moment. R project में चल रहा है? Is it working? इससे तो नहीं हो रहा. So we are trying to install it. It's taking some time. How would that is our studio actually. I want to install it from here. This is the exact link through which it is to be installed official source. But anyhow, so we can press choose the language. This is a complete R for Windows setup wizard. And press here. It is showing you the general public license issued 1991 and press next. You can choose the appropriate location where we want to install. Then choose the by default one also, or we can change it here. Suppose I want to install it onto the some other location. Let it be there only. So is this 32-bit machine? Man? This is 32-bit machine or 64-bit? Set the default R. So it will install it. Anyway, so it's saying that it is the installation is complete. You can press the finish. Or you can check whether it is properly installed or not. This icon will come on your screen. You will double click it, then this R environment will be opened. So we can do our work here. This is basically the console one. If we install the R Studio, then it will show you the graphical version. So in this, if I want to install any of the package or function, I need to dedicatedly type here. But in R Studio, we have the whole graphical user interface, and we can install the thing through the mouse click only. So we will also try to install the R Studio, then we will move further. This the default of this default version of R is basically the console is in the console mode only. But if I install the R Studio, so we can download the free version of R Studio. it is asking for the, which platform, for which platform you want this. So if I want basically R Studio for Windows, so I click here. Through this link you can download it for the Windows. For Linux you can click these two links, and for Fedora you can download it from here. So as RStudio supports the graphical version, it is somewhat larger as compared to the normal R programming IDE environment. So when you download it, this will be approximately 118 MB, and the normal R it is around 30 to 40 MB file. So we'll download it there. Unzip it here. It will take some time, and after that this will be installed. So working on RStudio is comparatively easier as compared to the R, because there we need to write all the commands on the console, but in RStudio we can do it through graphically. So it will take another 1 or 2 minutes. Huh.
Feature parameters of feature variables that three important three so around this marker time.
Yeah, there is a query from the participant from NITTTR. He's asking that if there are 2-3 variables, then can we analyze the data easily in R? So the answer is yeah, this R is very user friendly, and we can easily do this. As this machine is basically connected to this servers and connected to very remote center, that is why it has become very slow. Otherwise, if I am working on a dedicated machine and I am doing the R programming, this is very fast. We can write the program for it and we can do it very efficiently. Yeah, as I said earlier, this R and there is some problem with this, but you can do it on your machine. Just these are simple steps you can follow. As I said earlier, this R and SPSS are the latest tools. Those are launched, I think, in the last couple of years. The other tools like Java and Python, these are quite old tools available with us. But SPSS and MATLAB, these are the proprietary source item source, and we need the license for it. Yeah. But for R, there is no license required, and it is also very efficient if I compare it with the MATLAB and SPSS. So we'll move to the PPT where we will see that. So we have seen that we can install the R through this way. We can also install the R Studio. There was some error in the end here, but we can install it like this only. There are two integrated development environments for R programming: RGUI, Graphical User Interface, and R Studio, as I said. R Studio, as I said, it is somewhat larger as compared to the R because it supports the graphical user interface. This is the R console version. So when your R is properly installed, this screen you will get, and you can write your program or equation, whatever you want to analyze the data, you can write here. So when you are working with the R, so as I mentioned at the beginning, all the packages or functions are not installed by default, rather the minimum number of functions are installed by default. So whenever suppose I am working on it, the continuous internet connection is required, because suppose I want to perform some task and that particular task has already been integrated in some particular function and that is in the particular package. So I want to install the particular package at particular moment, then I need the internet connection. So it is always advisable to have the continuous internet connection whenever you are working with the R programming. In R Studio, in R, you will get only the one console window, as you can see here, but in R Studio, you will get the 4. Here you can write the code in R Studio. You can write the code here, and this is the R console. This is the workspace and history. Here you will find the, suppose, very temporary variables, what values are assigned to these variables, that will be shown here. And in this you will find the graphs if you have any graph in your file. You can also install the packages, as I mentioned here. There is a button for the packages. Just enable this tab and write the package name and just click it and it will automatically install. But in R console you need to write the complete package name, and there should be no error in the syntax error in the your package name. So package is basically a collection of functions with comprehensive documents. Package includes R functions, data example, help files, namespace, and description. All these things are described in these functions. Default installation is kept as minimum, as I said. So not all the functions or packages are installed by default. So the function of R could be extended by loading the R package. So we can extend the functionality of the R with the help of these packages. So as you can see here, if you want to install any package, you can just write the package name and again choose the appropriate server. As mentioned here, the HTTPS CRAN mirror. So you can choose the server which is nearest to you. That will enhance your downloading speed here. Then these are the packages, like you can see here: A3, ABBYYR, ABC. These are number of packages are available. You can install which package you want. So to load a package, you need to write the library and in braces the package name. And for contents of package, just write the library help is equal to package name. It will show you the appropriate package for you, which will be the most suitable for you. And for additional documentation, you can go to the cran.r-project.org. This is basically the project through which this R programming has been evolved. And there is a reference manual also available there. And you can see here some packages may override the contents or functions in another package. So when this happens, it will be indicated in the log. There are some packages, those are not, you can say, they exactly compatible to each other. If you use one, it may also overwrite some of the data in the other functions. So always install only those functions or packages that you really want. So to analyze it, whether it has really overlapped some of the variables or not, you need to go to the log, and there you can find it. And this is the some advanced loading packages. You can, through this you can load the packages. To find out what packages are already installed on a computer, you can use the command installed.packages and braces. No need to write anything on the braces. It will show you the packages those are already installed on your R. And to check if a given package is installed or not, you can also write is.installed, then this arrow mark, less than symbol, then hyphen, then function my package. Or you can also write is.element my package install.packages and braces. Through this you can find whether a particular package is installed or not. And with the first command install.packages, you will get all the packages those are installed on your machine. Because as I said, some packages may interfere with each other and may results in overwriting of data. So to uh, check appropriately, you can check the log files, and accordingly you can take action here. To install a package without clicking through Windows, you can write install.package and package name. So these last two commands are particularly helpful when writing functions for other users. We may also need to read the data from the files. For that, we can use the read.table function. Suppose some of the data are there in the some other files, and we need to import that file into our R environment. So for that, we can use this. So to read an entire data frame directly, the external file will normally have a special form. It will not read all just raw data. There should be some format. Your data should be in some format through which it can directly uh, retrieve the data from that particular file. So the first line of the file should have a name for each variable in the data frame. As we can see here, the first line is having price, floor, area, rooms, age, and send dot heat. And each additional line of a file has its first item a row label. As mentioned here, we have a data in a tabular format where we have 7 columns here, and we have 6 rows here. Out of this, the first one is the header, which shows this entire data in the form of the name, like this here we have price, floor, as mentioned earlier. And the first column, it is mentioned here, the first column, it should show the row label. So here we use the row label as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So numeric variables and non-numeric variables are also possible here.
ये अपलोड कर सकते हैं जैसे एक्सेल फाइल में मेरा उसको अपलोड कर सकते हैं.
Yeah, you can retrieve the data from the Excel file to the R programming directly. So reading data files, you can also write like house price, then read.table, then house.data, header is equal to true. So it will read the data from these particular files. Those are in a tabular format. Data file is named here input.dat. Suppose the data vectors are of equal length and are to be in parallel. Suppose that there are 3 vectors, the first of mode character and the remaining 2 of mode numeric. So we can choose different mode for the vectors that we will see in the next class tomorrow. So the scan function can also be used for scanning these functions like inp scan input.data list. I can mention the blank and then 00. So through this it can scan these data from the files. We can also store, every R object can be stored into and restored from a file with the command save and load. We can save the whole project with the help of save command, and when we want to again work on the same file, we can load it from the hard disk. So this uses the XDR, that is the external data representation standard of Sun Microsystem and others, and is portable between the MS Windows, Unix, and Mac operating system. So we can just write the save x file is equal to x.r data and load. Will be the loading the x.r data from the hard disk that is saved earlier. And this is about the importing and exporting the data. As you mentioned here, can we import the data directly from the Excel? So this is also possible. And you can see here there are many ways to get data into R and out of R. Most programs like Excel as well as humans know how to deal with rectangular tables in the form of tab delimited text files. So x is equal to read.delim file name.txt. So it will read the data from these Excel files. We can choose the different delimiter also for retrieving the data. So what we can do in the R, these are the possibilities that we can do here. We can do the data handling and storage, numeric as well as the textual. So we can create the vectors or arrays or variables with the help of providing the appropriate names, and we can have numeric as well as the textual data. Here in this R, it is not required to provide the data type to each and every variable. It will automatically take the appropriate data type for the variable. Just to write the variable name and assign the value, it will automatically take the appropriate data type for it. Like in C, we need to declare suppose one variable, so we will write int a. It means variable a is of integer type. Here it is not required to initialize the variable with the data type. You just straight away write a is equal to 7. So it will automatically initialize a as an integer type variable. So matrix algebra is also possible. Hash tables are also possible to implement in this R environment. High level data analytics and statistical functions are possible. We can have the classes, object oriented classes here. Graphics representation, as I mentioned earlier, we can form the graphs, pie charts, and visual representations through other ways that are possible. We can also support loops, branching, and subroutines in the R programming. So if statement, if else, that is also possible for while. These are also possible in R. But what it does not support, it is not a database. R is not a database or database management system. R has no graphical user interface, but it can connect to Java. Although we have RStudio in which this graphical interface is provided, but the basic R environment, that is the console mode, that does not support this. So it is a language interpreter, can be very slow, but allows to call own C or C++ code. As I mentioned initially, this also supports the integration of the code from the C, C++, .NET, Java, but it will somewhat slow down this R environment. So no spreadsheet view of data is possible, but we need to connect to the Excel. If we want to just visualize the data in a form of spreadsheet, we need to go to the Excel. And no professional or commercial support is available. Although a lot of blogs are available, but those are no guaranteed one. Sometimes we get very good information from the blogs and free of cost, but that information is not guaranteed one. If you are doing some research and doing the study purpose, then we can rely upon these sources like blogs on some unofficial source of help. But suppose if you are doing the data analysis for some large or a big company where the data is very, very crucial, we cannot rely upon these sources. We need the official help from the appropriate agencies. That is not available in R. So these are some of the features of R programming. It is a well-developed, simple, and effective programming language. It has an effective data handling and storage facility. R also provides a suite of operators for calculations on arrays list, vectors, and matrices. These are possible here. R provides a large, coherent, and integrated collection of tools for data analysis. A lot of functions and packages are there in R. Through that, we can do the data analysis. R provides the graphical facilities for data analysis and display either directly at the computer or printing at the papers. We can do the report, we can generate the reports in R also. These are the statistics which shows the usage of R to the last couple of years. You can see the 76% of analytic professionals report using the R, and 36% select R as their primary tool. Out of this, the people those who are working on the data analysis. These are the advantages of R. R is the free and open source software. No license restriction. We can write our own code. We can go up to the developers level. But for that, we need a good programming capability to do the uh, changes in the code. R has over 4,800 packages available from multiple repositories specializing in topics like econometrics, data mining, spatial analysis, and bioinformatics. So if we install all of these packages, because these packages are from the multiple repositories, that is why they sometimes interfere with each other. So it is always advisable to uh, learn the help file for each package before installing it. R also support the cross-platform. R plays well with many other tools, importing data from like CSV files, SAS files, Excel files. It can also produce the graphical output in PDF, JPEG, PNG, SVG formats. These are some disadvantages of R. Average memory performance, poor management of large data set. When the data set increases, there are some problems with this, but this also happens with others also. Like if we go to MATLAB and SPSS, there also if the data set increases, the performance or the computation efficiency of a machine also decreases. So complicated structure of packages in R, average computing performance, no default parallel execution. Default parallel execution is not provided in R. We need to do some extended programming here. After that, it will be enabled. Difficult data visualization and management, difficult to inspect the data sets, and relatively difficult to learn very complex data structures. Those are available in this. And in this slide, we can see here R programming has turned into the most prevalent language for data science. During the past few years, we have seen 76% of the users have suggested that we are using the R programming. And it is a fundamental tool for finance as well as the analytic driven organization. Like we can see here, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, all these are using this. So R is the open source. Data analytics, object oriented features are also supported here. High-end graphics are also supported. Integrated language, advanced analytics, and large communities also there who are using this. This is somewhat the future of R programming. It is a good and a powerful because R is one of the most demanded scripting language developed by and for statisticians. There's unparalleled advantages. We predict the present and future of business analytics with the R only. So now we will uh, do some of the basic exercises in R so that we can learn how we can do the programming in R. We have already installed the R. So those of you who have not yet installed the R on your machine, you can take 5 minutes and install the R on your machine so that we can do some basic programming on R. Have you installed, sir? You can just try, sir. We can have 5 minutes, and after that we will start doing some exercises on R.
प्रैक्टिकली नहीं मजा नहीं है
Sir, there is some technical problem in our college, so we are not able to download this art. I just want to start with you.
We are going to share this file with the remote centers. Yeah, we are going to share this file with the remote centers. You can download it from here.
This is recording okay.
Then just write the download R. Just go to this link and just download it from here. It may be possible that in one or two remote center it may not be downloaded, but in rest of the centers it should be downloaded, I think. Just take 2-3 minutes so that we can install in the meanwhile, and then we will start. So I hope the participants have installed the R on their machine. So have you installed, sir? In this R, we can do the basic programming, like we can create, suppose I want to create the variable in this. So in C programming, suppose I want to create a variable A. So first I will write the int A, then I will assign the value A is equal to 5. Here no such thing is required, we can straight away assign the value to any of the variable. I've written A as the 5. So the value of A is assigned here as the 5. You can see the value here. Now I have assigned the value of B, I suppose 6. So you can see here the value of B is assigned 6 here. So I have mentioned here two ways of assigning the values to a variable. A is equal to 5 will assign the value 5 to A, and with this arrow operator also it is possible to assign the value to the variable. I have written B and then arrow operator then 6, it assigns the value 6 to the B. Now suppose if I add A plus B, then you can see the answer here as the 11. I think it is not possible to further increase this size. So you can also assign this addition of two variable to the third variable. So I've assigned C is equals to A plus B. So it will assign 11 to the C. C arrow operator A plus B. So it was assigned A plus B to the C. C is equals to A plus B. Both the methods are correct. Either you can write C is equal to A plus B, or you can write C arrow operator A plus B. These both are basically the assignment operators in this R programming. We can use any of it. So when we do this data analysis, the first thing is, in data analysis, basically the data, that is basically your useful information, and from where you are going to collect this. If the data is your primary data, then it means your data is directly collected from the users, and this is the most appropriate or the actual data on which we should do the analysis. But this is a very tedious task, collecting the data from different people who are actually concerned with this. And the second way is the data that is retrieved from the internet, that is known as the secondary data. And in this case, we have a lot of repositories available on the internet. Data sets are available. We can download it and straight away start using it. Your data may be descriptive or inferential, and we can perform the quantitative as well as the qualitative analysis. I also mentioned the way of doing the research on my lecture on the very first day. I mentioned about the qualitative and quantitative kind of research, but in which in the way we are going to perform our research and going to propose the solution in the way of, like, this solution is 70% time better as compared to the previous one. It is somewhat quantitative type of research here. So in R, we have different data structures available. Like, we can create the vectors here, we can create the matrix here, we can have the arrays, vectors, list, and all these things are possible to create in R. Right now we have seen only the simple way of assigning the value to the variable and just simple operation. We can also do this, like, we can have D is equal to A plus B plus C minus D. So here it is showing the error as D is not found, because at this moment we have not yet declared the variable D. We have not assigned the value to the D. That is why there is some error. So we can also create the vectors here. Like in the previous case, we have just created the variables. Now we are going to create the vectors. Vectors are basically your one-dimensional array. You can say one-dimensional array. So I have written X equals to C. Suppose I assign the value 5, 25, 30, 25, 26. This vector X has been created. C is basically the keyword here that is used for the creation of vector X. You can see the value of this vector X as 5, 25, 30, 25, and 26 that we have assigned here to the vectors. If I want to specifically see the item number third in this vector is basically an array, one-dimensional array here. So if I want to specifically see the item at number 3, so I will type X location number 3. It will give the element number 3 to me. It will display the element number 3. So in this case it is 30 here. Likewise, we can straight away go to any of the element. Right, it's 26. So in C programming, generally this counter starts from the 0, but here the counter starts from the 1. The base value is here 1. There is another way of assigning this values to the variables for your vector. So this is another way of creating the vector. First I have used the arrow operator. Now I have used the assign function here, through which we can create the vector. So here I have created the vector y with the different values in it. We can also create a new vector from the existing one. As I mentioned in the variables also, we can use the either equal to operator or the arrow operator, both are same. Here also we can use the both of this. Here I have created a vector z. I have used the keyword c for creation. Elements, here I have taken two elements, and the first element is the second element of vector x that has already been created, and the second element is the fourth element of vector y. So in this way it will take or retrieve the values from vector x and vector y. Through this we can create it. You can also try this, creating the vectors from the existing one. Have you executed, sir? You can try. So this is the first way of creating the vectors. In this, we have assigned the values explicitly here. But when suppose the number of values are very large in any vector, then this method is not appropriate. Suppose your vector is having suppose 50 values or 100 values, then this method is not appropriate. We need to specify all the values dedicatedly here. So another way of creating the vector is you can do it with the help of repeat command. Like suppose I have created a vector a here. A is equals to repeat. But in this case, there should be a proper sequencing in the element. Here I have written a is equals to repeat braces 1 colon 15 comma times is equals to 2 in braces close. So it will create the elements 1 to 15 and repeat it for the 2 times. So a total of 30 elements are assigned to a vector a here. Equal to 2. 2. Number of times you want to repeat it. we can also assign the non-numeric values to these vectors using the comma, inverted commas. Whether you can apply the single inverted comma or use the double inverted comma, both will work. You can assign the value to your textual vector in this. Whatever value you can assign, just non-numeric value. Whenever you are going to assign the non-numeric value, it should be in the quotes. If you are going to assign the numeric value, then you can assign it directly. Like you can see here, suppose I have given f is equal to 8. Then I have written g is equal to f. If I print g here, then it will be having a value 8. So I have written here f is equal to 8, g is equal to f, and now I have printed g. It is showing the result as 8. This is basically a numeric vector. Numeric value is assigned to f, and then that particular value is passed on to the g. This is a variable here. Okay, so we have learned two methods of creating the vector. First one is by explicitly providing the various elements of the vector, but in this way we cannot provide the large number of elements to the vector. Second method we have learned, that is the repetition. Suppose the same particular sequence is repeated number of times, that we can do it with the help of repeat keyword. And there is another method of creating a vector with the help of sequence. Then we can see here I've written b is equal to sequence from 1 to 20 by is equal to 2. So this is third way of creating the vector, that is with the help of sequence. It is somewhat equivalent to the for loop. For I is equal to 1 to 10 and the increment you are specifying here. Same is the case here. So b is equal to sequence from 1 to 20 by 2. There will be an increment of 2 here. Suppose if I create a vector, see here, sequence suppose 1 to 50, and I have given an increment of 3. And see the value 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16 up to 49. So you can note the few questions or few exercises that you can do with this, the way of creating the vectors. First is the create a numerical vector x, create a numerical vector x. Question number 1 is create a numerical vector x with elements with elements and is the create a numerical vector y with elements 2 comma 6 comma 11 comma 12 comma 15 comma 18 using the assign function. Create a vector set from with elements from 5 to 20 and repeated for 3 times. You need to do these 5 questions. These are the examples through which I have created the vector. I have shown you the three methods through which we can create the vectors, and in which situation which one will be the better way of creating the vector. On the basis of these, I have given you some problems to do. I request all the participants at the remote centers to please install this R on their laptop or the machine that they are having or using, and try to solve these problems. So these are the solutions through which you can create the vectors for these appropriate situations. Now moving further, after creating this vector, we have some inbuilt functions available in the R that we can straight away use to calculate like the length of a vector, mode of a vector, sort, minimum to find the minimum or a maximum. We can see one by one. So now we have a lot of vectors created here. We can see vector here as A, B, F, C, we have B. These are the vectors that we have already created, and these are the values in this. So suppose I want to first calculate the length of a vector. I want to calculate the suppose length of vector E. It shows that the length of vector is 50. We just straight away write the length in braces में name of the vector. Yeah, it will give you the length of the vector. You can also add length and name of vector. Here I have created many of the vectors. I have chosen the E here. You can write anyone. You can also see the type vector. I have written mode E. It says that the type or the mode of vector E is numeric. If you see the same for A, it will show you the character, because the vector A is initialized as a character vector, whereas the vector E is initialized as a numeric vector. So with the help of mode, we can check the type of a vector, mode and the vector name. We can also sort the vector, like sort name of the vector. I'm taking X, then it has sorted the vector in the ascending order. Earlier, the elements in X were 5, 25, 30, 25, and 26. Now it has sorted it. But actually, the elements remain same. You can see here I have displayed the elements of vector X as 5, 25, 30, 25, and 26. So when you sort the vector, it will just show you the values onto the screen only. If you want to save these values, you can pass these values onto some other vectors or on the X itself. I have sorted the vector X and stored the values into itself. So now if I display the value of X, we will find the sorted values. Sorted values are displayed here. Okay. If I want to sort the vector in decreasing order, that is also possible. We write here decreasing is equal to true. It will show the value of X as 30, 26, 25, 25, and 5. The vector is sorted in decreasing order. All these functions are case sensitive, so which I have written in capital letter, it should be in capital only. Is equals to true. I want to sort it in the decreasing order. So I've written vector sort the vector name and decrease equals to true. Suppose I want to find the lowest amongst all the values of a vector. So I have written min or vector name. Give you the 5. 5 is the lowest element in this vector.
Verification of the vector. For example, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, and up to 1, up to 20, right? Maximum number of limited. I want to some all repetition
All repetition should be
Mm.
no. We have only limited functions. For that, you can write your own, create your own function, and put it onto the repository so that other can also download it. Or you can check it with the repositories those we are having, whether this type of function has been created or not till date, because people are working day by day on this, and they are creating their own functions and packages, and they are putting it onto the repositories. As far as my knowledge, it is not available till date. Maybe some people has added, then you can check it through the help of repository. So likewise, we can compute the maximum. Max will give you the maximum value. Here I have chosen the vector y, so it will showing you the value for vector y. Suppose I want to add all the elements of a vector. For that, we just write sum of x. It will give you the sum of all the elements of x. Suppose I want to add a particular value to all the elements of a particular vector, then that is also possible. Like here I have 5 elements in x. Suppose I want to add 10 to each element. So I will write x plus 10. 10 is added to each of the element of x
X plus.
plus 10.
That's all.
Just like we add the variable like a plus 10, it will add 10 to a. So here the variable is a vector. That is why it has added 10 to each element of the vector. You can also do the addition of two vectors. I have added the vector x and vector. If I add x plus y, we get this result. Addition of two vectors is possible. Likewise, the subtraction of vector is also possible. You can do the x minus y also. You can also do the multiplication of vector. You can also do the division. You can also compute a particular equation also.
Question also.
Yeah, in the form of vector. Let's suppose if I have written here, I have written here h is equals to computed the some equation with the help of a vector also. This is also possible.
A square plus B square.
Yeah, all mathematical equation. So like you compute a multiplied by a, then this is also possible.
A square plus B square कर दिया.
Yeah. Square is also possible. Suppose if you want to compute x raised to the power, this is also possible, raised to the power. Okay. We can also create the column vectors here. Like, suppose I'm going to create colors. Or you can say the character vector. Basically, this is not a column exactly. Character vector is the appropriate name. So we can have the character vectors also. If I want to check the mode, we can have the mode and then the vector name. Shows the character vector. We can also check it with the help of other way, as I mentioned in the slide, is dot character, then the vector name. It is saying that it is true. Is dot character, then the vector name, that is the colors. I want to check whether colors is a character vector or not. It is showing it as a true. If I write is a dot numeric, that is showing as the false. If I execute the same statement for vector x, then it will give you the reverse result as with respect to the vector colors, because x is a numeric vector. So for is dot numeric, it is giving us the true, and for is dot character, it is giving us the false result. And for the reverse case, it is for the colors. For character, it is giving the true, and for numeric, it is giving the false. We can also create the logical vectors. Suppose I have created c is equal to 2, 2, not applicable, suppose false, comma, comma.
The color is red star, red star. Red is star red for the colors.
Colors, then c is for creation.
Which calculate is only continuously.
Here colors is equal to c, then braces, then quotes, then you can provide the element name. Suppose there are some elements in the vector x like 12, 9, -2, 4 and 10. I want to check how many of them are less than 0. So 12 is greater than 0, that is why it is giving the result as false. Then again for 9, same case, -2 is less than 0, that is why it is giving the result as true, then false and false. So we can check logically whether the values are greater than or less than equals to the different one. So through this way, you can create the different types of vectors and check their mood. So in the tomorrow class, we will learn about the matrices and the further about the other functions and keys through which we can perform various operations in R programming. In the meanwhile, if there is any query from the remote center, then we can have now.
Any question from any of the center? Gandhi Engineering College, sir, do you have any question? Gandhi Engineering College.
सर देखो प्रिंसिपल के पास होना चाहिए ये काफी मतलब बोल रहे हो बहुत लड़ है हाँ
So I think there is no query from the various participants present at remote center. So today we have learned about the basic programming of R, how it is useful as compared to the other programming tool like MATLAB, Python and Java. We have learned how to install the R and the basic creation of variables and performing some fundamental operations on these variables and the vectors. So thank you for your patience hearing.